Welcome back, I'm Rachel Hopkins and I'm joined by Andrea Ruethi, Artist in Residence at the Glyn-Vivien. Hello Andreas, thank you for coming in and joining us. It's the first time you've been in to see us here at
Yes,
BTV.
yeah, the first time, yeah.
Yes. So tell us about your residency at the Glyn-Vivien.
I've been starting in September and I've been looking at the porcelain collection of the Glyn-Vivien Art Gallery because Swansea has one of the most amazing inheritance of porcelain, and I mean that's something I've been working with and I've been doing a lot of paintings as well, and I'm working on a very large painting at the moment, which is basically a plate from the collection painted on a very large scale in a particular process. Yeah.
All right. And of course you haven't spent your whole life, have you, being an artist? It started as a teacher? Yeah,
I was a primary teacher in Switzerland, primary school teacher until I was 30, and then I went to London to study. I did a foundation there, and then 3 years in Amsterdam where I studied painting for my BA.
Oh, lovely. And what is it that inspires you and, you know, gets you to sort of do a painting?
Well, I mean, it's one of the sort of main subject is still life painting. I've been doing a lot of paintings where I sort of selected things that are usually overseen, objects, you know, domestic objects that you have at home in your kitchen, sometimes also things from my daughter, toys, which are then integrated into my paintings.
Yeah, so it could be absolutely anything, but something you'll see it through an artist's eye and then put it onto canvas, is it? Yeah. And these are just two of your pieces that we can see. Yes, I can see in front of me.
Two paintings I'm working on at the moment. This is for an exhibition next year in Switzerland, where just basically, you know, on a shelf in my kitchen. Whereas this one is something that I've been working with in the Glyn-Vivien. I made photographs of the plates, and these are really beautifully painted, you know, porcelain plate. And then I made a postcard of it, and I combine here an image of a plate with a little thing which I've bought in a charity shop in Abergavenny. Yeah.
So there's quite a process behind this, isn't it? And you collect things and then turn it into art.
Yes.
Art's a fascinating subject, isn't it? Because it depends on who you speak to, whether somebody thinks it's great art or something that they're not particularly passionate about. It's something that can't be put in a box.
Yeah, it's a very interesting, well, it needs to be debated at all the time because our taste changes and we like things. You know, certain painters were sort of very famous 50 years ago, and they're not so, you know, spoken about now. So that's constantly a debate. Yeah,
yeah, we were speaking earlier, and you said art sort of goes through fashions, and I wouldn't have expected that from art, because how can it be a fashion?
I wouldn't say fashion, but it's sort of just of the reception changes, and sometimes it takes quite a long time. You know, Vermeer, which is considered one of the greatest Dutch painter of all times, the man who did The Girl with the Pearl Earring. Yeah. I mean, he wasn't, you know, he was almost forgotten for 100 years after his death, and then suddenly he's sort of been interpreted differently and liked. Yeah.
So it depends if the right person likes something that you've done and then takes it to the public, and it's the way they perceive it and then are able to put it to the public, I suppose.
Yeah, I think that's the writers, the critics, but also the gallerists, because I mean, the gallerist is the person that sort of supports you, tries to sell your work, but also contacts museums because at the end of the day you also want your work to be in museums, and if the museum then collects it, then there's good chance that it's going to stay there for a long time.
And how do you put a value on a painting and any sort of art? Who decides?
Well, that's, again, this is something totally sort of I mean, anybody can try to sell a painting and can charge $1 million for it, and someone might buy it. So there's no absolutely. It's quite unique, the art market.
You were saying earlier it's unregulated.
Yes, it is. Yeah, yeah. But in the end, I also believe, you know, that the truth will come through in time. Yes. Maybe it takes 50 years, or you know, I mean, it's some artists, you know.
It's definitely a skill, a talent. I mean, you could give me all the tools, all the paints and everything, and, you know, I'm just not creatively challenged in that way. However, some people do have that talent. It's just in them, like musicians, to be given those tools and then put something onto canvas that is just so pleasing to the eye.
Yeah, but it also sometimes comes out later in life. I mean, I'm a good example, you know. But also, you know, like the Glen Vivian, they do a lot of courses, educational courses. I mean, I did 2 workshops with the over 55s, which was fantastic. So they, every Wednesday, is like 20 people meet up, and you do drawing and painting classes. And this weekend is the hand-in date for the as a Glen Vivian open exhibition. Means people from Swansea can bring their artworks, and they have to pay a little fee, and if it gets accepted and selected, it will be shown in the Glen Vivian. So
everybody's hoping that theirs will be picked. A lot of it is confidence though, isn't it? Because if I did do something, I'd probably feel quite shy about, and I'm not a particularly shy person, but I'd be quite shy to show it to somebody because, of course, art is so criticised.
Absolutely. I think confidence is very important. And I mean, that what you mentioned earlier, you know, that people say, oh, this looks like a toddler's work. I could do that too, but then you should ask the person, why don't you do it?
Yes.
Because it needs confidence and determination as well.
Yeah, it's surprisingly difficult anyway to work with all the different materials and build up the oils and everything. Do you get nervous before you have an exhibition?
I mean, the moment the pictures are hanging on the exhibition, I'm very happy. Then I'm not nervous anymore. But I think probably, you know, until they're unpacked and all the hanging, that this can be quite nerve-wracking. Yeah. Yes. But once they're hanging on the wall before the preview, it's...
So it's more of a time issue that you get nervous about. Yes. Am I going to get it there in time, as opposed to will people like it?
Yeah. It's also because you then almost you give them away. There's, you know, suddenly they're or in a collector's home or something, then someone else is responsible for them and is going to look after them.
And are you quite critical of your work? Can you spend a lot of time doing something to just...
Yeah, I have to say I'm not always, you know, there's moments where I'm a bit delusional. So, but thanks God my wife's an artist as well, and she's probably my toughest critic, so, which is brilliant, you know. As much as it hurts sometimes, but it is it's quite rare to have someone, you know, who's actually telling you honestly the opinion and has an understanding, you know, understands.
But opinions when it comes to art, because one person can not like something, and that doesn't mean that it's no good, does it?
No, of course not.
It's just what one person likes, another person will love.
Well, yeah, that's why this debate is actually really exciting. And of course, it's more difficult if it's contemporary work. If you're talking about, you know, Impressionism, it's a bit easier because we have more distance to it.
Yes, and what artist do you particularly like?
I mean, I've got probably a list of 1,000 or 2,000 artists, but I mean, one of my favorite artists of all time is the French painter Bonnard. He was sort of a contemporary of Matisse, but slightly different, and I absolutely love his. 3 weeks ago I was in Frankfurt, and there's a Bonnard show on at the moment, so I just was absolutely delighted. You do a lot of travelling, don't you? Yes, yeah. I mean, I got a gallery in Switzerland I work with. I've been working for 20 years, and another one in Germany and also one in Australia, so that it requires... Is it very difficult going from I'm going to be an artist to get in a gallery to work with yourself? Do you consider yourself very blessed to be able to show your art? Yeah, but I've also been working hard. It's a really hard job because you got to network all the time. You know, when I lived in London for 18 years, I spent all my money going to art fairs. I went to Germany, Switzerland, France, just to hang out when I was a young artist, you know, and sort of making contacts with other, well, artists, curators and galleries. So if somebody wants to become very rich,
It's a difficult
That's
profession.
yeah. I wouldn't recommend an art career. Then maybe go into banking or I don't know.
Yes, yeah. You mentioned that you've been working with the over 55s and doing courses.
Yeah.
It must be very, very good for mental health in a way to be able to sort of create something or...
Yeah, of course, man. That's now a big part in also art education. You know, you've got MAs for art therapy, art. I mean, yeah, of course, I think that's very important. Yeah.
Andreas, tell us quickly where we can see more of your artwork.
Well, in 9th of December, there's a show opening at the Oriel Davies Gallery up in Newtown in the middle of Wales. Then I'm currently in a show in Switzerland.
Thank you for coming to see us. You'll have to come again very, very soon. We're going to take a quick break and then we'll be back and we'll be joined by Phil Evans from Llanelli. Watkins and I'm joined by Phil Evans from the BNI in Llanelli. Hello Phil, thank you for coming in today.
Thanks for having me back. 12 months ago I was here, sat in this very seat.
Ah, but not with myself.
No, I must have done well. You've asked me straight back, haven't you?
Well, of course, yes, of course. So explain to us what the BNI is in Llanelli.
It's a business network international. BNI stands for Business Network International, and apparently it is a franchise, and there are franchises all over the world. But this one in Llanelli is very, very important to us. It's local, it serves the local community, and long established for the past perhaps 11, 12 years. And it's a group of local business people that have come together and they support each other within the community. They do a lot of good within the community, and they can be referred with confidence because there's a huge accountability factor there. So it's established, looking to grow, but they're also giving back, which is different to many other organisations that we come across, and there are many.
And it can be difficult owning your own business these days, can't it? So it's nice to have that extra support.
It's been said many times that people who go into business themselves are very, very lonely, and especially self-employed business owners, because they wear many, many hats.
Yes.
And it's a constant challenge. And what I've found with this type of arrangement is that they're like-minded, they're supportive of each other, relationships are formed, and some relationships go further and deeper than just business relationships. You know, they become very good friends and close family members even. And
that is important because, as you say, people that go to work for a large corporation, they get sort of work colleagues, they get Christmas dues. When you've got your own business, well, there's no Christmas due to go by yourself. I've been self-employed for years. And
you're like Billy No Mates. You're looking to being invited by someone, isn't it? It's like being the last one in the dance on the Saturday night. Please, with somebody.
I can't remember if I go into a Christmas do.
I don't believe that for a minute.
Yeah, I'll gate crash somebody else's.
With a bit of luck, the pair of us will get invited after this now.
Yeah, we'll see.
But no, you've covered it there. Ideally, yes, that is true. And these organisations are invaluable, I think, in today's in the community and in the business world. And there are two here in Swansea. There are a few up the M4. So there's one in Carmarthen. But on Saturday night, I found myself for the second year running hosting this event, and there were some worthy award winners as well. Now, within the organisation itself, there were 4 members of the 18-19 team that were selected to be worthy of an award, and one was Gary Davis of Dyfed Fencing Services, a true character, and there's tremendous work locally, far and wide. And in fact, one of his biggest jobs to date was fencing the air ambulance in.
All right.
They can still get out, but they did a good job of putting a fence around the outskirts. And Stefan Thomas, Property Maintenance of Llangenech, he had an award. Tim Phillips of Fusebox Wales, local electrician, he had an award. And Graham Fox of Davis Caradoc Insurance Brokers in Llanelli, he again had an award for the second year running for his amazing work within the community and for the group in pulling it all together. So there's some real entrepreneurs there that have the ability to get things done, and they're constantly giving back. But
I don't think if somebody owns their own business, they never really have any time off. So it's nice for them, it must mean a lot for them to gain these awards. And of course, it may add kudos to their business to be able to say that they've had the nominations and awards.
Very important, and it was nice of them as well to have a night off and perhaps bring their wives to an occasion, because the wives probably forgotten how they look like. Because running your own business, you're at everybody else's beck and call. Yeah. No, that's true. And they were worthy winners as well. And it was very, very difficult, I'm led to believe, that by the organisers, that to choose the right person and to be able to justify and give an award was difficult, because there's so much talent and commitment within the group. But this time, it was only supposed to be 3 awards, but this time they had to give 4. So there's a difficult decision to make, but all worthy winners. There was one other special award that the group decided to take on board following last year's successful event, and that was to reward somebody within the community, not necessarily attached to the BNI group itself, but far-reaching into the community. Now, the criteria was to try to find somebody that made a difference to the community, to the people within the community, and not necessarily businesses. And 3 people came in as finalists then, really, and the first one would have been the Ticket Hut in Buryport, and there was a lady there that she did wonderful things to make sure people didn't get lost and ensure that they had value for money tickets, and went beyond the normal call of duty. Michelle Beer, B-E-E-R, from Buryport as well, who pulls women together with view to networking, and gives a lot of her time to help promote businesses locally, and she's been seen to be a bit of a PR gem. She knows the subject well studied, has a huge Twitter following, and promotes businesses within the community and beyond. But fastly becoming absolutely
small businesses, isn't it?
Especially today, isn't it? And gaining momentum by the day. And
again, linking everybody up so that they have that support system.
Absolutely, yeah. How times have changed, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. There's many ways of building PR and building a brand awareness within the community. And
that can also, as well, with small businesses, they can be very, very knowledgeable, very good at what they do, but that doesn't always transfer across to PR. They don't know how to get the people into the business.
No, it's a field in itself, isn't it? Yeah, and very, very, very challenging today in modern times and with all the technology. But she gives much of her time to help people gain the exposure, and in all fairness, she does well. But the winner was a lady by the name of Joanne Kelly from Tumble, and there was an award and a cheque. There was money. The group raised money and gave a cheque of £1,000 to this lady from Tumble, Bouquet Florists in Tumble. And the reason that I think she came under the spotlight and people put her forward is because there are many families within the area that perhaps are struggling to make ends meet. And to lose a child or a loved one when you haven't got any money must be absolutely terrible.
Well, it's an added grief on top of what must be the biggest grief that anybody
absolutely,
feels.
And you know.
And they do their best to help the families, provide flowers for the funerals.
Free of charge.
Yeah, and that's
free of charge. So, you know, here's an individual that touches people and makes a difference when it is needed most. And the group decided that she was going to have the award, Bouquet Florists of Tumble. And it's quite a moving experience.
Yes.
And it was lovely to be sort of part of it. And I don't know what will happen from here in, whether they will reconsider this and do exactly the same thing next year to reward somebody within the community. But this was a one-off and it went down well.
Oh, I think we've got a little bit of footage of when the awards were announced. Should we take a little look?
Yeah, let's take a look.
Oh dear, so I think Gremlin's gone and stolen that, so we might have a little look later.
The miracles of modern technology for you, isn't it?
Yes, isn't it great? But, you know, I mean, great awards anyway, and very, very well deserved as well.
Yes,
I'm sure, you know, it will go on to next year as well, very sort of successful. I think we have got it now. Let's take a little look.
If I have that, Phil, that's great. This is a recognition of giving, this is a recognition of good business, and going along with this award is a cash prize of £1,000 which has been given by the members of the BNI chapter here. This is £1,000 so that businesses can carry on doing the good work that they do in their community. So, Bouquet of Tumble Florist, if you'd like to come.
It was a lovely night out, and that was just before the awards were made.
It was.
Yeah, so thank you very much for coming in, and we hope to see you very, very soon.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you to all our guests today for joining us, and thank you at home and online for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow again. We shall see you all then.